Right. So I've done biopics before. I played James Dean, and I played the poet, American poet Allen Ginsberg. I did the story about Aaron Ralston. I was a part of a film about American politician Harvey Milk. I played his lover to Sean Penn's Harvey Milk. And more or less, well, they all kind of cover real people's lives in different ways. And the James Dean thing was, I guess we would say a more traditional kind of biopic. Allen Ginsberg, not so conventional, but it did cover, a certain period of his life and covered, key moments of his life. And Aaron Ralston kind of covered the big event of his life. And so I liked that, I enjoyed the ones more, I guess, as a filmmaker when they took a unusual approach to a person's life story. They had some unique way into that person. And I was less interested in giving a history lesson. I think, in today's, the technology we have today allows anybody to look up facts about anything in two minutes. So I felt like we didn't need to tell all the beats of Sal's life. What we could do with a movie is deliver the emotional side of him. That's something that maybe you can't get from Wikipedia, and that's the one thing that you can only get from a performer. And so we sought a way to give an emotional impression of who Sal was, and to capture his spirit rather than just tell you all the major things of his life. Yes, so the question, as I understand it, is she liked the movie very much and is asking me about the use of close-ups and extreme close-ups, and how did I come about using that, using so many close-ups or that kind of style. And I guess, if I think, I'm not ashamed to say, and I think it's obvious to a lot of people, one of my biggest influences as a director is Gus Van Sant. He doesn't necessarily use a lot of close-ups that way, but the way I think in pacing and structure, he is a huge influence. As far as the close-ups, I guess maybe it's my own thing. I did a series of short films, and I just before this, and I just found that it's nice to sit with I like sitting with a person's face. Maybe it's because I come from an acting background, but I think it's a different kind of use of close-up than I've seen before, where you get to really sit with it. You don't cut away from it. It's not, just punctuation. It's that you're really staying with these shots. And I think what happens then is, and it's not even about cutting to a close-up for, extensive, sequences of dialogue all the time. A lot of it is just sitting with that person, and in that way, I hope that the audience just becomes closer and closer to the character without kind of making the action put you closer to him, really just putting you next to him, and so that you're just over the course of the movie, just sitting with him, and I think, because Val gives such a, realistic and grounded performance, something is transferred, in a more subtle way, just by the use of putting the camera so close to him and then allowing him to just be, I guess. Well, I was introduced to Sal Minio's work when I did, when I played James Dean, I don't know, almost 10 years ago now, I guess. And he was a Warner he was under contract at Warner Brothers, I think, so he had a part in Giant with James Dean as well. And then Mark Rydell, the director of James Dean, had known Sal, and so and then I knew so I knew a bit of his work, and then I started getting to know about him a little bit more, and his story became more and more interesting to me. And then this new biography came out by pronounce the guy's name.
Michael Greg Michaud.
Yeah. There's a brand new biography, and so I was reading this biography, and it was very interesting to me too, because he had fallen out of favor, and he was murdered by a stranger, or at least the man that was convicted was a stranger. But because he hadn't, the man hadn't been caught, wasn't convicted for 2 years after Sal was killed, there was, I guess, all this space for ungrounded speculation about why he was killed. People, would rumors about, it was one of his lovers, or it had something to do with drugs. And in fact, the man they convicted had no idea that who he was killing. It was, just happenstance. And but because of that, I'll go to, I'll talk to people. I remember talking to people about this movie, and they say, "Oh yeah, wasn't he killed by a lover?" So it's been tainted by, tabloid reporting. His memory has been tainted by, rumors in certain outlets that can just, write whatever they like, and it does have an effect on people's memory or public persona or the way people perceive someone. And so part of me wanted to kind of set the record straight, but I guess more than anything, Sal, and this is also one of the reasons that we made the movie the way we did it, Sal embodies a tragedy that I think a lot of creative types go through, where they have so much passion and, in Sal's case, so much talent, but they are unable to practice their art. And when Sal, was in his 20s for various reasons, because, he was no longer the young, cute, child actor, because he sort of came out, I guess. I guess it was kind of known. And then also because of a series of roles that, if we look at now, like a movie called Who Killed Teddy Bear, like you think, oh, that's so tame. But I guess at the time, it was a risque movie, and also kind of would, had damaged his career a little bit. So he could no longer, act in the way that he wanted to. And to me, that's just a sad circumstance, that someone can't be expressive as they want to be. And so I wanted to tell the story for Sal, but also for, every kind of creative type in that position. We call it the film business for a reason. It's a business, and those movies are huge investments, and they need to make their money back. Yes, the directors, Sam Raimi is an incredible director, and he wants to entertain and to say, something about human nature, human relationships, I guess. But also, he needs to make a movie that is going to make its money back. My subjects, an obscure poet named Hart Crane, and Sal Mineo, an actor that a lot of people forgot about, are not subjects that are, going to be blockbusters, and I don't expect them to be, and I don't want them to be. I am really trying to find a way to make movies about things that interest me, and to be able to kind of step out of that realm where we judge success by box office. That's really, it's become such a huge thing, and they report, box office numbers in, Huffington Post or whatever now, as if that is the final goal. but I can step out of it. You know, Hollywood Reporter can write, oh, it's a low budget, and it shows. Well, yeah, what also shows is like we were able to capture, you know, this movie about someone that would never have been made otherwise, and we were able to capture, you know, a wonderful performance. And in my opinion, it looks great. It looks exactly how we wanted to do it, and we were able to do it responsibly, and also, you know, stand here confidently and say, hey, nobody can get mad at us for wasting money. And we did the film exactly like we wanted to do it, and we didn't have to, you know, compromise for any other reason, for any reason, and we didn't have to make it in any way. And we can, you know, even be as bold to say, hey, we did this for artistic reasons. We actually believe that, you know, film can be, you know, an art still. It doesn't need to just be, you know, this entertainment or money-making thing. Actually, it can still have, you know, artistic aspirations. So that's why I do. Thank you. Right. So you asked me about pressures. I mean, pressures to.
If the pressures from Hollywood on actors are the same or are different from.
Oh.
So, you know, when Sal was there, and if the reference to Pasolini when it was a casual thing, or.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. There are pressures. I mean. You know, I think everything's changing, as it always is. You know, we have all this new technology, the internet, you know, video games sell, you know, tons of money. You know, I just did a movie, Planet of the Apes, where, you know, many of my co-stars were, you know, CG created characters, and then on the other hand, there's all this, you know, consumer level technology that is just, you know, advancing and advancing and advancing. And so Coppola once said, I think at Cannes, at the premiere of Apocalypse Now, he was, or around that time, he was waiting for, you know, the time when the young teenage girl would make a feature film in her backyard. Well, that time is now. I mean, it's the, you know, that we are able to do that now. So there are both pressures, because the film business, you know, is still, you know, happening. They're still making, you know, these huge movies and 3D movies now and all of this stuff. And so there, I mean, there is a certain amount of pressure to, you know, if you want to stay in that world. But there are also all these other outlets and ways to make movies and ways to be creative. I mean, I imagine, like, if Sal was alive today, why not? Yeah, he should just get a video, you know, a nice video set up and just make the movies that he wants to make. So there are pressures, but there are also ways to alleviate those pressures. And for me, I've found that it's a healthy mix, just for my career and my state of mind, to do both kinds of projects, and to do because if I just did these huge movies as an actor, I probably couldn't go on. I mean, I know it sounds crazy and it's stupid, and I probably shouldn't even talk about it, because who's gonna feel sorry for me? Oh, you have to do, you know, Spider-Man? Oh, poor guy. But for my creative spirit or whatever, I also need this other side, and to be able to tell the stories that I think are important.